Hi everyone, welcome to the flow sessions. So today we will see the recur trigger flows in the flows type. Okay, so I have a requirement whenever account billing address is changed. If you see here, we have the address in the account, which is billing address. Okay, so if this address is changed, I want to copy the same address to the related contacts of that account. Okay, so this is my requirement. Okay, so now we will see how to create the requirement using the flows. Okay, so here, so click on setup and in the quick find box, search for the flows and select the flows. So here, click on new flow. So here I need to create the record trigger flow. So I'm selecting the record trigger flow. So click on create. So first it will ask for the object. So here, on which object we are writing this flow. As we know, when coming to trigger, so whenever we are writing trigger, we have to know on which object we are writing the trigger and what is the event we should take. In the same way, here also, on which object we are writing the trigger, this flow we have to know, and what is the configure trigger. Means, so whenever created or whenever updating the record or whenever we are creating or updated, in both situations we need to fire this flow, or whenever we are deleting the record, if I want to flow this record, so we need to know what is the triggering point of this flow. Okay, so whenever I'm creating the record, if I want to fire this flow, I need to select the first one. So as we know, in the workflows also we used to have these criteria, right? So whenever the record is created, whenever the record is created and updated, whenever the record is created and subsequently meet criteria. So here we can able to see the same things, but here we can see a record is created and a record is updated separately, and then a record is created or updated and a record is deleted. So here we can't see a record is created or updated subsequently meet criteria, but we can achieve that one. So I will show you that one also how to achieve. Okay, and then we have to mention some entry conditions. So if there is any specific condition is there, so then only I need to fire my flow. Okay, so based on that specific condition only I need to fire my flow, otherwise it won't enter into the flow. So such type of criteria is there, then I need to mention that criteria here. And then we have optimize the flow for. So here we have two options. One is fast field updates. Second one is actions and related records. If you see, we have two events, right? So one is before context, other one is the after context, right? So we can able to capture before events and after events in the flows also. So here, if I want to capture any event before the data is saving to the database, so we need to select fast field updates. So see here, update fields on the record that triggers the flow to run. So if I want to update the fields on the same record of that object, for example, I'm changing something on the account, okay, and I want to update the field on the same record on same object, then I can able to select this fast field updates. See, this high performance flow runs before the record is saved to the database. So before the data is going to the database only, it will trigger. Okay, so if I want to capture anything before the data is saving to the database, then we have to use these fast field updates. And we have one more option called actions and related records. So update any record and perform actions like send an email. Okay, so this is called after event. So if I want to capture anything in after context, then we have to use actions and related records. For example, if I need to update any related records, or if I want to send any email, if I want to create any task, such type of things are there. So then we have to select for the after context. Particularly we need to select these actions and related records. So we can't see directly this before and after. So here we have the options called fast field updates and actions and related records. So for before context, we need to select the fast field updates. For after context, we need to select actions and related records. And there is one more checkbox, include a run asynchronously path to access an external system after the original transaction for the triggering record is successfully committed. So if I want to run the flow in asynchronous mode, means in the future. Okay, so if I want to run immediately, so there is no need of checking this checkbox. But if I want to run this flow in future, asynchronously, we have to check this checkbox. So we have that option also in the flows. So here my requirement is, so whenever the account address is changed, I want to copy the same address to the related record of that contact, right? So here I need to write my flow on the account because I'm changing address on the account object. So here I need to select the account object. So here account and the configure trigger. So what is my criteria? So whenever the account address is changed, okay, whenever that account address is changed. So here I want to select a record is updated. Okay, so whenever that account address is updating, okay, whenever I'm going to update the account address, I want to copy the same address to the contact. So here I'm selecting a record is updated. Okay, so and then set entry conditions. So here I don't have any entry condition specifically because I want to take a decision here. Okay, in the decision I want to mention my conditions. So I will show you how we can mention these entry conditions in the next example. Okay, so for this example I don't want to mention any entry conditions. Okay, and here I want to update the related record. So we should be in the after condition. Okay, after account data is saving to the database, so that address I want to get and I want to copy to the related contact of that account. So here I'm selecting actions and related records. So here there will be no save button, so automatically it will take this data and we can simply click on this close button. So now I have configured the object and my triggering point and the optimize file, so that event. Okay, so now here there is one more option called add schedule paths. Okay, so if there is any schedule path, means if I want to schedule my flow, so without going to the schedule flows, here also we can have some schedule paths. So when we are discussing about the schedule flows, that time we will discuss about the schedule paths also. So as of now, we will see the record trigger flows. So now I have configured just start conditions. So now I want to take a decision. Means I should select the criteria here. So for that, I want to take some decision. Why we take this decision? If this decision is true, then I need to execute some piece of code. Okay, some piece of logic. Okay, so here we need to mention some label here. I'm mentioning like condition check. And we can mention some description as we have. So, and outcome details. So here we have two labels. One is for the total decision, one is for the outcome. Okay, so here I'm checking account address check. I'm taking label as account address check. So we have to give some proper naming conventions. And see here condition requirements to execute outcome. So here if I have multiple conditions with uncondition, okay, so if I want to have all the condition must be true, then I have to select the uncondition. If any of the condition is true, then if I want to execute my logic, then I can mention any condition is met. Okay, if there is any custom thing, for example, if you see here, we have resource, right? One, so we can add multiple conditions. So I have multiple conditions. So in that only two conditions should be true and three conditions should false. If I have such type of things, and two condition with uncondition and three conditions will be our condition. So if such type of conditions are there, then we can able to use this custom logic. Okay, so here I want to mention my account related criteria. Means here I want to check that address is changed or not. Okay, and if you see here outcomes, see for each path the flow can take create an outcome. So here we can mention multiple outcomes. Okay, so for each outcome specify the conditions that must be met for the flow to take the path. Okay, so here we can mention multiple paths, and for multiple paths we can have multiple conditions. So here I have taken one outcome which is account address check. If I have one more condition, one more criteria, I can mention one more outcome. So for this outcome I can mention one more label and API name, and here I can mention my criteria again. So there will be one default outcome which will be comes in the else part. Okay, so this decision always takes true and false. These outcomes, whatever we are mentioning, they will comes in the true part, and the default outcome will be in the else part. Okay, so I just want to delete this outcome. There is no other outcome for me. So I have only one outcome. So I'm deleting this one. So for address check, I want to mention my criteria. So here, see here, we have some global variables. Okay, so as we know, we have resources which will create further to store any values. In the same way, we have some global variables. So these values are given by the Salesforce only in the flows. If I want to use these global variables, we can use. Okay, so if anything related to API, we have to select the API. Or if I want to use anything related flow variables from other flows, we can use this one. And organization, as we know, we have this org, right? We have some org ID, we have some org edition and everything, right? So if we want to use anything related to this org, we have to use this organization. And we have profile. Okay, if I want to get anything related to profile, okay, if I want to get data related to profile, we have to use this profile global variable. And we have the record. So in the record trigger flows, we have one specific thing like record and record prior. So this record is the global variable which stores the account record data. So whichever the object we are selecting in the start condition, so this record variable will store that object data. Okay, and we have record prior. Record prior means, as we know, in triggers we will check old value and the new value. As we know, we have trigger dot new and trigger dot old. So in specific conditions, we will check both the values are same or not, both the values are changed or not. So old value is not equals to the new value. Then only we have to provide some logic. In the same way, okay, if I want to check prior value, means old value with the new value. So here we have that option called prior, record prior. So this record prior is nothing but trigger dot old, and this record is nothing but the trigger dot new. If we want to check these two values are same or not, we can use these things. Okay, if I want to check old value, we have to use the record prior. If we want to check the new value, we can use the record. And if I want to get anything related to system, okay, we have some system limits and everything, right? So if we want to get anything related to system, we can use this system global variable. And if I want to get anything related to user, we can get the user related data in this user global variable. And if I want to get related anything role, we can use this user role. So these are the global variables. So present, I want to check account address is changed or not. So I'm going to use the account. And here we have billing address. Okay, so directly we can have the billing address, or we can have billing city and country, everything in different field. So here I want to select everything is changed or not the complete address. So city, country, everything is changed or not, or it specifically anything is changed, either city changed, country changed, state changed, anything is changed. I want to copy that one. So that is the reason I'm specifically mentioning everything here. So billing city, so equals to, or I can mention does not equals to. So here we can use the record prior, say billing city. So this is one of the option we can select. So here we are checking the old value is not equals to the new value. Or here we have one more option directly. So if we have this kind of check, okay, so here we have one more thing, when to execute outcome. So if the condition requirements are met, only if the record that triggered the flow to run is updated to meet the condition requirements. As I said, in workflow, we have created and updated subsequently meet criteria, right? So in the same way, if I want to achieve that one, so we can use only if the record that triggered the flow to run is updated to meet the condition requirements. Means this comes under the subsequently meet criteria. Means from not meeting criteria to meeting criteria. Okay. So based on our criteria, we can select either of the option. Okay. So here I said this is one of the way, and second one is changed. Okay. So simply we can use the is changed option here. So then it won't take this prior value. So we have to mention either true or false. Okay. I need to check is changed or not. Means it should be true. So here we have some global constants. for true and false. See, global constant false, which is equivalent to false, unchecked, or no. Global constant true, which is equals to the true, checked, or yes. Okay, so this is the checkbox type. One is the false and other one is the true. So here is changed equals to true. I should take. So I'm selecting the true. And in the same way, I need to mention for the remaining things. So record billing city, no, billing country is changed true, and then again record. I'm taking billing street is changed true, record billing state is changed true. Again, one more condition for the postal code. So record billing postal code is changed true. Okay, so here we can use either prior value does not equals to the normal value, or we can use directly this is changed option. We have the two options here. Okay, so when we are using this is changed, we are checking that value is changed or not, right? So that is particularly from not meeting criteria to meeting criteria. So that's why we don't get this option to check. Okay, automatically it will check if the condition requirements are met. Okay, is changed means we are checking that value is changed or not. So whenever that value is changed, then only it will go through the logic. So that's why no need to select of the subsequently meet criteria. Okay, so here I don't want to go through the unconditioned. So if it is unconditioned, everything should be changed. Means I need to change the city, country, state, and zip code. But here, if anything is changed, okay, any one of these changed, I want to copy that one. Okay, if even city is changed or country changed, street changed, anyone, okay, if anyone is changed, I want to copy that one. So that is the reason I'm going to select the any condition is met. Okay, so if any one of the condition is met, means if any one of the building address is changed, I want to copy that one. Okay, so here I have mentioned my criteria also, then click on done. See here, we have created a decision. So in the decision name is the condition check and the output name is the account address check. Okay, so here we can, if this is true, it will go through this outcome. If this is false, it will go through this outcome. Okay, so here we can mention whatever we want to do in the true condition. So here I want to update the contact records, right? See here, directly we have some shortcuts. Okay, so update triggering record. If I want to update the account record only, so I can directly select this update triggering record as a shortcut, or update related records. If I want to update the related records of that account, we can directly select this option. Okay, if I want to send any email alert, we can select the send email alert. So in the same way, as we know, we have multiple elements, right? We can select anything, or here we can select the update records. If I want to update the contact records. So here we have two options. One, update related records, because I'm going to update the related records of the account, or I can take these update records. There I can mention particularly I want to update the contact record. So in both ways only we will get the same thing. So here I'm selecting update related records. So even if you select update records, you will get the same screen. Okay, see, new update records. Okay, so even if you select the update records, you will get the same screen. So here also it is the update records only, but I have selected the shortcut. Okay, so here I want to update the contact record. So I'm mentioning the label like update contact records. Okay, see how to find records to update and set their values. Okay, so what are the records I need to update? So how to find that records it is asking. Okay, so here use the account record that triggered the flow. If I want to update the same account, then we have to select the first option. So update records related to account record that triggered the flow. So whatever the record which is triggering this flow. So if I want to update the related records of that account, so we have to select the second option. So here I'm going to update the related contacts, right? So that's why I have selected the second option. Okay. Use the IDs and all field values from your record or record collection. So if I want to use some IDs and field values from your record collection. Okay, so if there is a record or record collection and I need to get values, IDs from that record, and if I want to use that IDs, then we have to select the third option. Specify conditions to identify records and set field values. If there is any specific conditions, if I want to use to find the records, then we have to go through the fourth option. So here I want to update the related records. So that's why I'm using the second option. Okay, select the related records. Okay, for account, we used to have the multiple related objects, right? For example, we know for account, it is related to the contact, it is related to the opportunity. So like that, we used to have multiple child objects. So which object I need to update, I need to select here. So here it will automatically shows the account. So account related contacts I need to update, right? So I need to select for the contacts. See, as we know, relationship name is the contacts for the contact object. Okay, so here we have to select the relationship name, which is contacts. Then see here, multiple contact records can be related to the account triggering record. If there are no filtering condition, all related records are updated. So it will store the multiple records, not a single record. Okay, it will store the multiple records. As we know, for account, we can have the multiple related contacts. So it will store all those contacts. So here in the filter conditions, if there is no filter condition, so all the records will updated. Okay, so if there is any specific conditions, for example, I need to get the contacts which is having only account ID. Okay, account ID is not equals to null. If I want to get only such type of context, we can able to mention the condition here. Okay, so here I'm mentioning that one, or we can mention either account ID equals to that contact ID, that contact related account ID. So we can mention anything. So here I'm mentioning account ID of that contact not equals to null. See here, now for the global constants, we got one more value, which is empty string. Okay, if I want to select the null, okay, if I want to check for the null, we can check this option, means this is the null. Okay, so account ID not equals to, does not equals to null. Okay, account ID does not equals to null. Only if there is any account ID, then only I want to get those contacts. Okay, and account ID equals to the record ID. Means in contact we have account ID field. So this account ID equals to this, whatever the account we have. So it should equals to that account ID. Okay, so we are having some filter conditions. So based on that, we can get some contacts. Okay, so like that, if we have any specific conditions, we can get. So in the same way, we can mention the or condition or custom logic here also. Okay, and we have to set the field values. So which fields we have to update on the contact? We need to update all the fields, or we need to update the specific fields. So here I want to update the mailing address of the contact. So I need to mention those things. So mailing city, which should be populated from the account, right? So here I'm taking account, that is record, billing, billing city. So again, click on add field, mailing country should be populated from the account mailing country, billing country. And we have mailing street should be populated from the account mailing billing street. And then I want to populate mailing state should populate from the account billing state. and I want to populate the postal code also. So mailing postal code should populate from the account billing postal code. Okay, so these are the values I want to populate from the account to the contact. Okay, if we have some more values also, we can click on this add field button and we can able to populate all the values. Okay, so now we have mentioned our criteria and we have selected the values also. So just close this one. So now we have created one record trigger flow which is having some start conditions, and then I have taken a decision. So where I have mentioned some entry criteria, and then I have gone through the update records element. So where I have mentioned the which object I need to mention and what are the fields I need to update. Okay. So now I'm going to save this flow. Update contact mailing address. Okay, so as we know, we have some show advanced. Here it will show the type of this flow, and if there is any source template we can select, and API version of this one, and triggering order. So this is the triggering order. See, as we know, when coming to trigger, so every trigger will get file if there is anything on the object. In the same way, in flows also, if I have multiple flows on the same object, okay, those flows will get fired at the same time. Okay, if that condition is met. But if I want to order those flows, for example, I have 3 flows, okay, which are on the same after condition. Okay, I have 3 flows on the same account object and they are getting fired on the after event. Okay, so we can able to mention that order here. Okay, so I have 3 flows. So what is the flow which should get fired first, and what is the flow which should get fired second, and what is the flow which should get fired in the third? Okay, so we can able to mention that order here. Okay, so based on this order, we can able to control this execution of this flow. Okay, so here we can able to mention from 1 to 2000. Okay, so based on that, even we can mention from 100, 101, 102, okay, or 1000, 1001, like that, anything we can mention. So that must be the 3 numbers. Okay, we have to, from the starting to the next 3 numbers, we have to mention in this triggering order so that it will trigger on that order only. Okay, so here if I have mentioned the 1, so this flow will get fired fast. And if I mention for 2 for any other flow, so that flow will get fired next to this flow. Okay, so that is the use of this trigger order. Okay, so here we can mention if there is any specific thing, if we have like that. Okay, so click on save. So we can able to debug here only. Okay, so it is working properly or not as we expected. So we can able to debug here. So here we have select path. So if we have multiple paths, we can able to debug any one of the path. Okay, so here we have only one path. So that is the reason we can able to debug only that path and run immediately. So if we want to run immediately, we can go through the immediately. So here it is immediately only. So we don't have any other option here. Okay, if we select asynchronously also, okay, then it will show we should need to run asynchronously like that. Okay, and debug options. Skip start condition requirements. If there is any start condition in the start, so if I want to skip those conditions while we are debugging, we can able to skip those conditions by checking this one. Okay, run flow as another user. If I want to run this flow as another user, we can able to run flow in rollback mode. So here we are debugging the flow. Okay, while debugging, we will update some records like that, right? So I don't want to save those values which I'm changing while debugging into the database. Then we can use this rollback mode. Okay. So that is the reason we can use this run flow in rollback mode. Okay. So here I want to select some account. So here I'm selecting some test account. Here I want to update this records address. So here there is no address. So I'm mentioning this one. City I'm using Hyderabad, country India. I'm using whatever is there already here. Some street we can mention, some Madhapur, whatever we want. Okay, click on run. See, it will shows so through which path this flow executed. Okay, so this is the decision, so it gone through the true condition only, and this is executed this update contact records, and then the flow is ended. So we can see in detail here in debug details. So how the interview started. So this debug run was triggered as if the contact record was updated. Okay, and then what is the account record it is taken, it will shows that id. And start conditions requirement, so entry conditions, I don't have any start conditions here, so that is it is showing the null. And then decision condition check, see outcome excluded, account address check. So billing address Hyderabad is changed to, so from null to I changed to Hyderabad. Okay, so India is changed to, Madhapur is changed to, so everything is changed. So and then update records, so whatever the contacts are there, it will take all the contacts. So find all contact records where account id does not equals to null, and account id equals to the, so contact account id equals to the account id. Okay, so it is taking this contact id and it is updating that contact mailing address. If you see, mailing city equals to Hyderabad, mailing country equals to India, so it is showing all the values here. Okay, and roll back. So after it is showing all these things, it won't save any change which I made in the account record. Okay, so I have given this all these values, right? So it won't save these records into the changes into the database. Okay, so how this is the way we can able to create the record trigger flows. So I have shown you one example in the after condition, right? So I want to show you one more example which should be run in the before context. Okay, so now we will create one more record trigger flow. So again, I'm going to the back, so we can able to activate it and we can do some unit testing also from the front end, whatever we want to do. Okay, so I have already debug here and I have shown you how to change all these things. So that's why I'm going to create another flow. So here I want to create new flow of the record trigger flow. Here my criteria is whenever, okay, so we have opportunity object, right? So on the opportunity, we have one field called type. Okay, if the type is not equals to null and if the type is changed, okay, if the type is not equals to null, I want to concatenate the type with the opportunity name. I want to show the opportunity name and then type also in the opportunity name. Okay, so for that we will create the record trigger flow. So click on create. So in the same way, we need to select the object. So I want to write my trigger that flow on the opportunity. So whenever created or updated, okay, whenever creating or whenever updating, if there is type, so I should concatenate the type with the opportunity name. So in the starting criteria only, I'm mentioning my criteria. So all conditions are met. So here I'm selecting the type does not equals to null. Okay, if type does not equals to null, so if there is type, I should concatenate that one. And when to run the flow for updated records. Every time a record is updated and meets the condition requirements, only when a record is updated to meet the condition requirements. So the first one is comes under whenever the record is created and updated. The second one comes whenever the record is created and updated subsequently meet criteria. So here only we can able to select this one. So if we want to, we can select this one. Okay, means every time that type should not equals to the prior value. Okay, and here optimize the flow for means fast field updates or actions and related records. So here I want to update the same account name, right? So here we can use the fast field updates. Okay, so we have mentioned the condition here already. So there is no decision. So I just need to update the opportunity name, right? So if it is before conditions, we can't use this data variables. Okay, so we can't use update records because when we are taking this update records, it will do a DML. But in before context, we can't make any DML. As we know, while writing the triggers, if you are taking any before events, there will be no DML while writing the code also. We can't write insert, we can't write update like that. In the same way, we can't perform any DML in the before context. Here we have to just do a assignment. Okay, so here I'm taking assignment. So update OPP name. So set variables. Okay, what is the value we have to update? So what is the field we have to update? We have to select that field and we have to update with the value. So here I want to update the opportunity name equals to. So here, so I should get opportunity name and then I want to concatenate the type by having some hyphen here. I'm mentioning the same. Here I'm changing this one to the type. See, if we want to write the same condition in the coding part, so we have to use some concatenation symbols. So we have to use some plus symbols and we have to use some single quotes. If I want to mention this hyphen, so this hyphen should be inside the single quotes and we have to use some plus symbols if I want to concatenate two strings. But here, simply we can use the hyphen. Okay. So click on done. So I have created the before trigger flow and click on save, update OPP records. Okay, so click on save. Now I'm going to debug this one here also. So I don't want to skip the start conditions. I have the start conditions here. And here run the flow as if the record is. So if I, whenever creating the record, if I want to debug this one, we can select the first option. Or whenever we are updating the record, if I want to debug the flow, we can select the second option. So here I'm selecting the second option. So I'm just going to update the opportunity record. So we can select any of the opportunity. I'm selecting this one, test opportunity. And here I want to mention the type, right? So I'm taking type as new customer. So click on run. So if you see here, so this is the path. See, it will be highlight this path. Okay, so this is gone through this update OPP and then the flow is ended here. Okay, so in the same way, so the interview started. So this is the opportunity ID and then it will stores the start conditions. See here, type new customer is the we have taken does not equals to the null. Okay, so all conditions must be true. The conditions met. So assignment. See here, it will shows here. So record name equals to test opportunity. So new customer. So record name equals to test opportunity hyphen new customer. So like this, it will populate the opportunity name. So it is showing the result here. Okay, and it will roll back these changes. Okay, so I can activate this one. So if I want to see if it is working properly or not, we can go through the opportunities. And I'm opening the test opportunity here. The details. So here I can mention the type. So present the name is only test opportunity. So here I'm updating the type to new customer. So click on save. See, automatically without refreshing anything. So test opportunity hyphen new customer. So this is the advantage of the flows. Okay, so if we want to concatenate like this in the coding part, we have to use, we have to write some piece of code. Okay, we have to write multiple lines of the code. But here, without writing anything, okay, without writing any piece of code, with simple point and click, so we can able to do such type of automations. Okay, so this is about the record trigger flow. We have gone through both before trigger flows and after trigger flows. So if any criteria is there, okay, so the criteria is whatever the criteria, we have to create in the same way. Okay, so in the next session, we will go through the another type of the flow. Thank you.